Mr. Speaker.
I call Kelvin Davis.
Tēnā koe, Mr. Speaker. Tuatahi māku mihi kauake ke oku whanaunga noho ana kei raro te tūnui o tō tātou whare, nau mai haere mai ki tēnei tō tātou whare, te whare o te motu. Aroha mai taku tōmuringa tainga mai I te mea he hui anō tāku I roti te taone I mō ake nei engari hari korana hau te rongo I te motunga o te kōrero o pēni nāni ki mai nā koutou mau mai ngā kai moana kei roto I tōna tari nā reira tēnā rā koe mo tēnā koha kia mātou. Ko rongo hoki a hau ko pēni e hihana te tākoro mo te Pēni Morgan nā reira e tuku ana mātou I te ropu reipa I a pēni hei kai mō ngā toa o Whangaroa. Nā reira, e ngā whanaunga tēnā koutou. Mr. Speaker, I just first apologise for being late to the House because I did have a meeting in town there. But I did catch the end of Penny's speech where he said our relations from Whangaroa have brought down the kai moana and it's in his office and we thank them for that koha. Also, we're offering up Penny as the sacrificial lamb for the annual Billy Piri Morgan competition, rugby competition, inter-marae competition that's played in Whangaroa every Labour weekend. So despite his advancing years, we're offering... Mr. Speaker, the people of Ngatikahu are my whanaunga and we're related through a number of ways, but one of our whakapapa lines is through Pō Hurihanga of Kurahaupo Waka, one of the lines, one of the many lines. Pō Hurihanga, he had Muri Whenua, and Muri Whenua is a woman who's the ancestor, most of the far north was named after Muri Whenua, who had tamatea, who was a well-known explorer in his time, not least of all because the longest Māori place name in New Zealand is a reference to him. He had kahunungu, and we spoke about kahunungu last night in the House, and I acknowledge my tuahine here, Meka. Kahunungu had kahukura nui, who had a kahukura ariki. Now, I'm not descended, as far as I'm aware, unless my father's got some secrets that he hasn't let out, but I'm not descended from kahukura ariki, but instead from the sibling of kahukura ariki, Rākai Hukuroa. So that just goes to show the complexity of our whakapapa and how we are all related. Pō Hurihanga of Kurahaupo, though, and one of the reasons I brought this up is because we talk about these settlements being full and final and enduring. And with the Kermadec situation, you know, maybe that's on pause, that's on hold. We're not quite sure. We can't really stand here with our hands on our hearts and say these settlements are now full and final and enduring if the situation around the Kermadecs is to continue. And the reason I'm trying to link it in is that Pō Hurihanga, I believe his name was Pō, just Pō, but because when he was coming over on the Kurahaupo Waka and it started to leak a bit, he had to turn around and go back to the Kermadecs, and turning around is like Hurihanga. And Pō Hurihanga parked up the waka on the Kermadec Islands and fixed the waka up before he proceeded on again to New Zealand. I'd say that probably happened a number of times with many waka, but it's just an illustration of our links to Rangitahuahua, the Kermadec Islands, but also the significance now that the Kermadec Islands are playing in all our settlements. And, you know, there are real concerns that what was a settlement that was made around the fisheries in 1992 is no longer that permanent, enduring settlement. And so we come to the Ngatikahu ki Whangaroa settlement. It will go through these, through the House in all its stages. No doubt it will be passed. And I hope that in 25 years from now, there's not another MP standing up and going, oh, sorry, Ngatikahu ki Whangaroa, the government's changed its mind, and you know, the bill, the act as it was passed in 2016 is going to be changed. I think it's a very important note to make, that when we say that these bills are enduring and full and final, that's exactly what they are. The bill itself, Mr. Speaker, relates to Whangaroa's, Ngatikahu ki Whangaroa's historical claims, mainly to pre-treaty land transactions, Crown purchasing. I spoke a bit about that last night, about the Crown's devious ways of purchasing land, the surplus lands policy, and I spoke last night about how James Busby managed to get his hands on 100,000 acres around Ruakaka, which is not in Whangaroa. But it was just an illustration about the way land is just being, or was, taken off our people, and we were left basically landless. The Crown failed to protect Ngatikahu ki Whangaroa reserves, taking of land under the Public Works Act. Again, I acknowledge Catherine Delahunty for her bill that sadly didn't pass last night. The Ngatikahu ki Whangaroa, there are about 3,000 people in the tribe, but I just want to talk about the ratification process that the bill went through. And there were concerns whether there was sufficient support. The level of the participation in the ratification was 30.9% of those who participated. The process lasted 7 weeks. Of 2,426 voting packs that went out to registered adult members, 750 votes were received. Now, there's concern that that is low, but in the scheme of things, when you look at all the different statistics around all the settlements that have gone through, the numbers and the percentages of people who voted and participated in the ratification process, this is actually a mid-range level of participation. And I guess it's incumbent on people, if they receive a voting pack then around their iwi issues, then they actually need to engage in the process. And it's really at that stage that people can express one way or the other. There's no point having a democratic process and then saying that the process didn't get the result they wanted if they never actually voted. We've heard about the disagreement around whether manga whero marae and o Tangaroa should be included in the settlement boundary. We considered it, but did not consider that the boundary issue at o Tangaroa is an obstacle to negotiations, because the Crown recognises general areas of interest rather than a precise boundary during the settlement process. Mr. Chair, just in the short time that I've got left, we've touched on the ownership of Stony Creek. I do have a concern that the quantum actually is all tied up in Stony Creek. I would have liked to have thought that the people of Whangaroa not only get Ngatikahu ki Whangaroa not only get Stony Creek Station back, but also got a dollop of pūtea to go with it. Several submitters argued that Stony Creek should belong to Ngāti Aukiwa as a distinct tribal entity from Ngatikahu ki Whangaroa. However, Ngatikahu ki Whangaroa said that most hapu and marae have associations with Stony Creek Station, as well as the Thompson and Clark blocks in Taimaro marae. I remember basically this bill was my introduction to politics. There was a day in December of 2007. It was the day after the end of the school year. I'd resigned as principal of Kaitaia Intermediate School. Shane Jones said to me, "Hey, boy, you want to get into Parliament? Come out and meet your constituents." So I went out to Taimaro Bay, a beautiful spot, as is the whole coastline around Whangaroa, and not knowing what I was walking into, and should have known better than to wear jandals and a t-shirt. I should have worn my flak jacket, because that was the day Michael Cullen turned up in a helicopter, and I found myself standing in between some angry Ngatikahu whanaunga and Michael Cullen, and standing there linking arms with Shane Jones's son. Thank goodness he was bigger than me, because I wouldn't have been much protection for him, I have to admit. The interesting thing about it, the guy who was right in my face there, being probably the loudest, is a guy who I've subsequently worked with in other issues and found him to be
Sorry to
quite
interrupt the honourable
a
member.
nice chap.
His time has
Kia ora, Mr.
expired.
Speaker.